Hello, everyone, and welcome to the big sports debate on Sportstuck. I've got Rahul and Vikrant sir with me, and today we are talking about incredible test wins that we've seen in the past 2 days. We saw Australia retain the Ashes for the first time in England since 2001, and then we've seen a mammoth victory by Afghanistan against Bangladesh today. Incredible test matches, incredible test cricket, and we'll start off with the Ashes and Vikrant, the way England sort of lost plot. The way Australia played, they deserved to win not just this Test match, but they deserved to win the Ashes, wouldn't you?
But again, Radhika, if you go back to the last Test match, the way England won, and people were comparing that to Ian Botham's Ashes, the Headingley Test match 1981, and then comparisons with the Headingley Test match 2019. Ben Stokes has disappointed in this Test match, and the momentum has certainly gone all the way back to Australia.
His injury may have played in as well a
factor. But somehow they had some kind of momentum going into the Test match. They also had an opportunity on day one, but then Steve Smith. I mean, yes, you need 20 wickets to win the Test match, and the bowlers will give you 20 wickets. But if Australia have retained the Ashes or they'll win the Ashes 3-1, that's all because of one man, Steve Smith.
You know, Rahul, Vikrant sir mentioned Steve Smith, and that is something that Joe Root said as well. He said if you remove Steve Smith's contribution, but nobody's. Then we go back to the India series that India won, and everybody says that there was no Steve Smith. That's so. I am saying, does it really matter if it's just Steve Smith who's contributing? We had a brilliant bowling session by Pat Cummins as well, which also needs to be acknowledged in that match. But at the end of the day, Australia on the whole, whether it's one or in fact even if it's Manus Labuschagne who came in as a substitute and has done well, Australia, the better side of the two.
They have looked a more balanced team as compared to your English team, and that was just one individual brilliance what we saw at Headingley. Here your team, Steve Smith has been far too consistent, not just consistent, but he is far too consistent, and Australian team has also looked a better bowling unit. You have somebody like James Anderson who's been left out. Obviously his injury also has played its part, but Australia have looked a better team. Of course, Steve Smith has been the difference between the two teams, but then as you mentioned, you have to pick 20 wickets, but you also, in fact, there was another result today. Afghanistan versus Bangladesh, a historic win for Afghanistan. They're second in 3 Test matches. But both these Test matches, if you see, the teams, in fact, the visiting teams were racing against time. At one point in time yesterday at Old Trafford, there were dark clouds hovering over the, it seemed as
Australia's dressing room.
Yes, because it seemed as if it was too dark, and memories of that 2009 Test match when I think that was Cardiff, yeah. Anderson and Monty Panesar. So they somehow managed to save that Test match, but here.
People
of course,
were talking about Faf also yesterday, saying put that. You wanted to give knighthood to Jack Leach if he had saved the Test match.
I tweeted.
You jinxed it.
And the next over, I think he fell. England have fought well, but the only thing is, Radhika, at certain critical periods, you need someone to save you. Steve Smith was there for.
How disappointed are you by Joe Root?
He says he should be the most disappointed. In fact, his captaincy will be online.
Absolutely.
And the fact is that if he's been wanting to bat at number 4, why is he not batting at number 4?
Because the coach doesn't allow him to.
Is Greg Chappell the coach of?
No, whatever.
It's Trevor
and the same coach won them the World Cup.
But at least they are, everybody has to compromise something or the other. Here,
no, I don't think so. That's a wrong notion to go with.
That's
if your best batsman, your captain is, and who's also a leading batsman in the world, if he wants to bat at number 4, and if you think that he's your best number 4, then your best number 4 should be at number 4, not 3. You're exposing him to the new ball a little too soon.
That's what.
So
look at both the teams.
That's what Joe Root feels, but his coach does not feel that way. Maybe his team, the team management
does. The series, no? They will lose the series.
No, that's fine.
And Trevor Bellis, isn't he an Australian?
No, that's fine.
Is he or is he not?
We talk about Joe Root and we always talk about the Fab Four when we are talking, but the way Steve Smith has played and the way Joe Root has played, do you feel Joe Root has like totally been sidelined? He's dropped out of that Fab Four race.
He was not in that Fab Four before the series began, Radhika, because look at his conversion. He's somebody who's been struggling for the past 2-3 years to convert his 50s into hundreds, big hundreds. Look at Steve Smith. Look at Virat Kohli, even Kane Williamson. A top class batsman. His average. I don't know what's Joe Root's average. Is he?
Now it must have, sorry, no, it must have dropped below 50, but not somewhere. I think
He's 45, 46
So,
if I'm not.
so that's not the hallmark of a genius in modern times. Somebody with an average of 48 or 45, 20 years ago would have been one of the all-time greats. But today, when you've got a batsman whose career average is 65,
Absolutely.
65, and then
48.
so he's 48. So after the series, he's fallen out. So if you look at Steve Smith's 65, even Virat Kohli's 53, pales in front of him.
And then you've got a Joe Root who's at
3
40.
ducks he's got in this series.
Yeah. So when you look at England, they've of course named an unchanged squad for the final test, which is going to be played at the Oval. There were a lot of people who were calling in for a lot of heads, including those of Johnny Bairstows and your Joss Butlers and all. Do you feel England should have gone in for some drastic changes for that final
They
test to
couldn't
at least draw the
They
series?
couldn't have, Radhika. They couldn't have. They've got, I think, English cricket. Yes, they've invested in the limited overs cricket, and they're a fantastic T20 and one-day side. Unfortunately, the golden period that they had was maybe between 2010 till about 2015, and that is when their batsmen started petering out. There's no Ian Bell, there's no Kevin Peterson, there's no Andrew Strauss, there's no Alistair Cook, and there's no Jonathan Trott. Five of English cricket's all-time greats. So they've just got Joe Root, and that's it.
And he's not delivering.
He's not delivering.
And you also have to understand the fact that if you see their ODI and T20 cricket, when Owen Morgan became the captain, he said, "Now I'll make some changes," and he changed the way the English team or England would play cricket from there on. But in Test cricket, if you see. He took over, Joe Root took over from Alistair Cook, but nothing has changed.
So do you
know?
want Ben Stokes to get that captaincy now?
See, obviously, I
will
think
become
I
the
think Joe Root's captaincy is definitely on the line, more so now because of his own performance. Because ever since he's become he's taken over that role of captaincy,
His batting is
his
suffered.
batting has deteriorated, and definitely I think his captaincy will be on the line, and they'll perhaps have somebody who can actually lead the team from the front with both bat and ball. As far as Ben Stokes is concerned, I think he had that shoulder issue, so that you can say, but he's not going to.
Shoulder, Rahul, while you're batting.
That actually affects, he couldn't bowl that well. It affects overall. I don't know how much pain he was going through at that point in time. And secondly, Ben Stokes, you can't have one player doing the job every time.
How many times do you want miracles to
He
happen?
is no Ian Botham. He's proved that.
No,
See, he's done it-
but
he's
that
done it
particular
quite
that
a
particular
lot.
Headingley innings, or what he did in Headingley, was nothing less than what.
I'm not taking anything away. What I'm saying is that that innings now is history. Period.
Yeah.
So this test match was an opportunity for England to at least show some fight.
Yeah.
The only fight that they showed yesterday was that
In
they.
the final innings.
So it wasn't a close test match.
Yeah.
It was close in terms of overs left for the test match to end. But don't forget the fact that you lost out on a lot of play on day one.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I am going into the last test match. Australia would be.
Happened after England openers did reasonably well. At least one of them did reasonably well, because both the teams, the problem that they're facing is their openers. They've not been doing really well. In fact, nobody.
Warner
if
has
you-
been a big disappointment. Before we wrap up, I want a word from both of you on a team which has done well. We just mentioned Afghanistan and how Rashid Khan, with 6 wickets in the second innings, 5 wickets in the first, ended up beating Bangladesh.
And scored runs also.
Yes, by over 200 runs. Mohammad Nabi's
And
farewell
beating
test.
Bangladesh in Bangladesh.
How big a win do you think this is for Afghanistan?
Huge.
cricket?
Huge.
Because
I
there is
think
Bangladesh who's playing the World Test
their best
Championship.
day,
Afghanistan's
their
not.
best day ever till now. It has to be because it's not a one-day game. It's not a T20 game. It's a test match. They won a test match in Bangladesh against a side that rarely loses at home.
Yeah.
You know, somebody like Bangladesh have beaten top-class teams in their own backyard. And Bangladesh are a very well-settled test team. Remember, they're also coming to India, and we were anticipating that maybe the two test matches against Bangladesh will be closer than the three test matches against South Africa.
Yeah.
But yeah, so full marks to them.
Yeah. And Rahul,
Afghanistan.
we were worried that rain might rob Afghanistan of this big win, but even the limited time they hardly had 20 overs. They had 4 wickets to pick, but Captain Rashid Khan leading from the front, picking 3 of those wickets.
Six wickets he took in that last innings, three of which came today itself. So absolutely, as you mentioned, and one of that, one of those 4 wickets that Afghanistan had to pick today was that of Shakib Al Hassan. In fact, he was dismissed of the in the very first over, in the very first over. So yes, as you mentioned, I think this victory should be right up there with Afghanistan's first international appearance. I think the biggest day for them should be that when
When
they
they made it to the World Cup.
Yeah, and absolutely. It's been a brilliant 2 days of Test cricket as we started, and we, of course, on Sports Talk keep getting you those updates. Shashank seems to have a few questions.
नवदीप सिंह वो बोल रहे हैं कि एशेज की थोड़ी सी हिस्ट्री अगर आप लोग पता है
The history
History
of
of Ashes.
बताइए.
Yo, let's talk about the most memorable series for you.
I don't remember the exact year.
1906 perhaps or 1894, something like that. I think it was in the 20th century when England lost.
Yes, and they were handed.
No, there were a few women watching the game, so they burned down the bales of that last day, and the bales were converted into ashes, and they were given to the winning team. And the original Ashes trophy
Is still
is at the Lord's Museum.
at the MCC Museum.
1882.
Yeah, the Lord's
in fact.
MCC. 1882.
1882. 1882 was when. Yeah.
Sorry?
And
Yeah.
I believe you both have the urn.
And there was
I have two at home.
Have to.
You can go to my Twitter or my Instagram and you can watch them. Because I tweeted yesterday. I was watching the game.
Yeah.
I placed both the replicas on the sofa, and I tried some photography skills, which I'm accused of being very poor at.
Yeah.
I think I did a reasonably good job.
Okay. So.
I have also posted something.
Yeah,
on
so
mine.
even
In fact,
so they both have the urn, but it
No,
is
I have
Australia who will
I have the
retain
Waterford crystal trophy.
Oh,
That
my.
basically, so you have the the urn that is presented to you, because in the afternoon we were having that discussion whether you are presented that original urn, but I don't think.
It was. I remember the ashes were the trophy was to travel to Australia. I think this was about 8-10 years ago.
Isn't it too delicate to
And they
travel?
repaired it.
Yes.
They repaired it. I remember they repaired it. They did some repair job on the trophy because they had said
On
that
the
is
urn.
on the urn, and because they said it's too weak in terms of its size and its holding to be carried. I don't know what they did. I still remember it was I think 8-10 years ago. It was made to travel to Australia for some series.
Because as far as I know, you may be right, because as far as I know, the original urn that is it's always there at the MCC Museum at the Lord's Cricket Ground, and there's this replica. They might have
once maybe
repaired
it
that
was- yeah.
replica,
No,
because that replica actually changes hands, if I'm not wrong. It's that
Okay.
We'll do some
replica.
research.
Okay, so we will figure that out. But both of them have the replicas, and it is Australia who will take back a
So
replica.
you get the
after-
urn and you get that crystal trophy also.
as well. Okay, so
The most
that's,
memorable ashes, you said.
Because
I asked you, do you?
in our living memory, it has to be the 2005.
Yeah.
2005 in our living memory. 81 would have been good too.
Yeah, but
But I think in terms of the media and the attention it got, 2005 was very good.
Yeah.
Because 81 again Australia and England were almost similar. Australia were also coming off the Kerry Packer World Series where most of the players had gone. And 2005 Australia were expected to beat England easily. And they lost.
Then came one man. No,
Andrew
that,
Flintoff?
Andrew, that just like it was
Steve Harmison. Steve
Simon,
Jones.
Simon Jones.
Was it Steve Harmison who today said that Steve Smith will always be
He
a
shouldn't have said
cheat?
that. No.
Will always.
Yeah, will
Remain a
always be
cheat.
a
No, not
cheat.
at
I was surprised
Yeah,
to read
everybody's a
that.
cheat. Everybody then is a cheat. There must be some question mark asked of any player, any individual, any character. How can Steve Harmison say that?
It's
So
do
are
you
you
feel
telling
it's
me-
a case of
are-
sour grapes?
Yes, it is. Are you telling me Steve Harmison could get that reverse swing without tampering the ball in whatever cricket that he played?
Maybe without that sandpaper.
Without the sandpaper, with the nails, perhaps,
Yeah.
or the.
I feel it's a very
or if you
irresponsible
remember the
comment
dirt that
from.
Mr. Atherton had in his
Yeah.
pockets when he was caught at the Lord's Test match. So
I feel England are just, like I said, a
That's
case
how-
of sour grapes,
that's
and
how-
maybe you don't expect such irresponsible comments from people who are idolized across. But we'll wrap the discussion here because this is an endless one. You've got so many stories as far as the Ashes is concerned. But yes, it's been a memorable series till now, and we've seen some amazing cricket, and we will keep getting you all those updates on Sports Tag. Subscribe and share the video if you like.